Su Hong has a system which makes his learning speed absurd. It takes him 1 second to learn C-rank martial arts, 2 seconds for master, 3 seconds for perfect SSS rank techniques. A spar was going on between two students. One punch landed hard, and the one on the receiving end sucked in a breath, complaining that it hurt like hell. He laughed it off, saying Su Hong's Vajra fist had clearly improved again, and wondered out loud if he'd already stepped into the micro level. Su Hong stayed calm and said he'd only broken through to micro level 2 days ago. In this world, martial arts were divided into ranks: basic, proficient, micro level, mastered, and perfect. Reaching micro level already put someone ahead of most peers. The other student couldn't help admiring him, saying that just based on Vajra fist alone, no one else in their class could compare. He asked if Su Hong was done resting so they could continue practicing, but the pain from that single punch was still lingering, and he had no intention of taking another hit. Calling Su Hong a cultivation maniac, he waved him off and said he was heading home to eat. Before leaving, he politely bade Teacher Lee goodbye. Teacher Lee reminded him to straighten his clothes before going. Then he turned to Su Hong and finally caught him, asking why he still hadn't paid the 30,000 registration fee for the martial arts department. Applications were closing next month. Su Hong hesitated and asked if he could be given a few more days. Teacher Lee sighed, saying he understood the family situation, but rules were rules and there was nothing he could do. After everyone else left, Su Hong stayed behind, continuing to practice alone. No matter how many times he repeated his forms, one thought kept circling in his mind: the 30,000 registration fee. His memories drifted back. When he was 3, his parents had died during a ferocious beast disaster. Since then, he'd lived with his uncle and aunt. After discovering his talent for martial arts, they had done everything they could to support his training. In an era where ferocious beasts roamed freely, martial artists earned good money. He had trained to give them a better life, yet now it felt like he was only making things harder for them. Later, in a quiet corner, he returned to the cramped, worn-down place he called home. He asked softly whether the rent was almost due and how much they were still short. His uncle's voice came first, saying the rent could wait, and that little Hong's registration fee should be paid first. His aunt followed, saying that with such talent, Su Hong was sure to succeed one day and they couldn't afford to hold him back. Then she added, almost casually, that she would stop taking her medicine. It wasn't curing her anyway, and it would save money. His uncle immediately objected, telling her he'd just take on another job instead. She should stay home, rest properly, and focus on her health. Everything else, he said, would work out. Hearing all of this from the shadows, Su Hong felt a tight ache in his chest, and sadness quietly washed over him. He couldn't help feeling that this was a stupid, messed up world. It had twisted his life into something he could barely recognize. Everywhere he looked, people were greedy. If someone simply wanted to register for something they were talented at, they still had to pay money for it. Money he had no talent for earning. If he really had been good at making money, he probably wouldn't have had talent for martial arts at all. The more he thought about it, the crazier the world felt. Pushing those thoughts aside, he opened the door and called out that he was back. His aunt, who treated him like her own son, immediately fussed over him, asking why he'd practiced so late again and telling him he must be exhausted. Su Hong tried to take over the chores, telling her he'd handle it, but she waved him off, saying it was nothing and that he should go rest, so he wouldn't be tired the next day. His uncle backed her up, telling him to listen and go rest quickly. Su Hong returned to his room, but sleep refused to come. He lay there, wide awake, his thoughts running in circles. His uncle and aunt had already sacrificed so much for him. He couldn't keep letting that happen. This time, he would solve his own problem. For a martial artist to earn tens of thousands in just a few days, there was only one place that came to mind. The very next day, a loud announcement echoed through the streets. Audience friends were welcomed to the Martial Apprentice Arena Challenge, where only victory or defeat mattered, regardless of life or death. It was the underground martial arena. The announcer's voice rose as he introduced the ring defender for the day, someone called Mr. Minotaur. If he could win 4 matches in a row, he'd walk away with 60,000 in prize money. If not, he'd get nothing. The crowd was told to watch closely. The audience immediately erupted in whispers. No one recognized him. Some guessed he was a rookie. Others scoffed, saying a newcomer jumping straight into the arena challenge was basically courting death. Off to the side, the announcer leaned over and told the kid to show some passion and heat up the atmosphere. Minotaur looked confused and asked how he was supposed to do that. The announcer sighed and told him to provoke the crowd, curse a little. This was exactly why rookies were such a headache. Realization dawned on Minotaur. Letting out a roar, he shouted that below the level of a martial artist, he was invincible. invincible, calling on all weaklings to come and fight him. The crowd exploded at once. Some cursed him for being absurdly arrogant, while others laughed and praised the guts. The atmosphere instantly boiled over. Someone in the crowd sneered that this guy wouldn't even know how he died later. That only lit the fuse. Cheers erupted from every direction. Some people shouted that it was good, others yelled for blood, and a few just cursed at the so-called Minotaur at the top of their lungs. With the atmosphere boiling over, the announcer declared that the match had officially begun. Behind the Minotaur mask, Su Hong stayed calm. He could clearly feel the heavy killing intent unique to the underground arena. Still, this was the fastest way to gather enough tuition money. As long as he could win a few rounds with his Vajra fist, it would be worth it. His first opponent stepped forward, calling him an arrogant brat and saying he'd play with him a little. Su Hong barely paid attention, his eyes calmly sizing the man up. The opponent's momentum was strong, but his footing was unstable. From the look of it, winning wouldn't be difficult. Seeing him space out, the opponent cursed and charged straight in with a punch. Su Hong sidestepped it cleanly, then casually swung his other hand